Hey, Jarrett, I'm thoroughly jealous of your background. I feel like I need to put a few more things on my wall, but I won't start off with jealousy. I'm going to start off with excitement because the word legend gets thrown around an awful lot these days, but think it's very safe to say that today we're joined by a bona fide legend, musical royalty, if you will. It's Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup with me on today's episode of Good Things Brings. Jarrett, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, here we are. We are in the final months of 2024. Bowling for Soup have already been touring up a storm this year already, but finally, after over a decade between visits, we are actually getting you back in Australia. How pumped are you to jump on that big jet plane and head back down under for Good Things Festival this year?
Well, I'm very excited to get there. I am not as excited about the 18-hour flight, but I we'll break it up. It'll be fine. But man, I can't believe it's been 10 years, honestly. It's funny because we still have so many stories from that last trip that we tell all the time. And I guess we were set up to try and go over before the pandemic hit, and then that happened. And so kind of, back to square one. So it's finally here.
Well, it's interesting you say that you might be a psychic because that was going to be my next question. Like, I'm still grappling the fact that it's 2024, let alone late 2024, but that's beside the point. It blows my mind because by my calculations, the last time you guys were here, I believe, was for Soundwave Festival back in 2014. And given that you said you've got a few stories that you continuously tell, what is a core Australian memory for you from your last visits? It doesn't even have to be that particular time, but what is one that will make the memoirs one day?
Man, I mean, there's such good, I mean, because the only times we've ever been over have been pretty epic tours. I mean, it was Soundwave, but before that, it was Pennywise, Vandals, Sum 41, Bowling for Soup. And so, all of our trips have been really memorable. I mean, the story that I tell the most, though, is Soundwave was so cool because it was so many different bands traveling together in different genres and things. And I was at a hotel bar and I recognized Alex Skolnick, the guitar player for Testament, and I was just like, "Dude, you guys are like literally my favorite band growing up, and you're my favorite guitar player ever." And he was just like, "Oh yeah, who are you?" And I was just like, "I'm Jared. I'm in this band called Bowling for Soup." And he started singing 1985 to me, and I was just like, "Ah, that's the craziest thing," And I doubt that I would have gotten that experience had we not been there and doing that tour. So, but there's a thousand more.
Yeah, I love that though. It's amazing to think that, you will be that person to someone else, like someone else will know that Jarrett knows who they are. So it's nice to know that that can still happen for you as well. I like this.
It does, yeah. I mean, that's just the thing, right? And I try to tell people all the time, we're just people. I mean, I wrote a few songs that you like, but at the end of the day, I have those same experiences that everybody else does, and it's sort of this never ending thing for me. I recently had Sebastian Bach come from Skid Row come to one of our shows, and he brought his kids to see us, and I was just like, You don't understand how insane my life is." But that's one thing that my wife says all the time. Your life is weird.
Weird but awesome at the same time. Isn't it beautiful?
Exactly.
It's an amazing thing, and that multi-generational thing is something I do wanna touch on, but I love too seeing how much fun you continuously seem to have as a band. I had some giggles at that video that dropped on your socials a few days back of the guy who went to his first Bowling for Soup show with the caption, "They didn't play Stacey's mum," and of course, you made an appearance at the end.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
I know that you guys righted that wrong of having Stacey's mum mistaken for one of your own songs when you released your own version, but that's not the only song you have. You have 10 studio albums to choose from and a bunch of singles as well. Given that,
Yeah.
have you had the setlist chat yet for the festival performances and side shows for Good Things? Like, are you guys planning on mixing things up yet? Or is that a conversation that may happen on the 18-hour plane ride?
We're actually really excited for this tour because since July we've been playing the same set because we've been over here in the States celebrating 20 years of Hangover You Don't Deserve, which is our biggest album. And so we've been playing that thing from front to back. And we've never been a band to be locked into a set list or have a certain set or do the same show twice. And so having this freedom again, as we get back over to Australia, and it's going to be short lived because as soon as we come back, we head to the UK to do that Hangover tour again. And so we're just excited to be able to come over, play the songs that everybody wants to hear, play the songs that we want to play, have some fun. And So yeah, this set list will sort of ride itself. There'll be a couple of things that we discuss, but for the most part, it's what we call play the hits,
Yeah.
and that so it should be a fairly simple discussion.
Yes. Well, I like that. That's good news for you and good news for the fans. And as you
Yes,
touched on, you are spotlighting the 20th anniversary of the album. That it is another thing that we can say. It is an iconic thing. It is a thing that has resonated with so many people for so long. And of course, you've been releasing music continuously throughout your career. Most recently, we had, I have to say this slowly because if I try to say it fast, pop, drunk, snot bread. If I try to say that fast,
yeah.
I'm going to trip over it.
The
But
great thing is that we can't say it fast either. So
good. Okay, this makes me feel slightly better. But tell me, with a hangover you don't deserve, obviously it's been a little while now and it's something you've been playing from start to finish. What has it been like to revisit that album with fans in a live setting after all this time? Like, would your 2004 self believe you'd be celebrating that album in packed rooms 2 decades later?
definitely not. I mean, you couldn't have told me that we were going to be celebrating the album in packed rooms 5 years ago. I mean, this has just been such an interesting time in our career. It's bigger crowds, bigger numbers everywhere, than we've ever had, and it's just been amazing. And going back and revisiting that album, when you that was, I guess 6 albums in for us as far as like what we were calling albums. I think there was a couple of EPs in there, but it was our third major label record, and so we already had songs that we had to play, quote unquote, the songs that the fans expected to hear when you play live. So a lot of the songs that we recorded on Hangover, we've never played live before. And so, up until this tour, I believe it's 6 or 7 of the songs haven't been played since we recorded them.
Wow.
And so that was really cool, was to not only play those songs, but the fan reaction to those songs, to hear the people singing along to them, to be able to stop in the middle of the song and everybody keep singing of those deeper cuts, man. It was a really, really good feeling. Special. I say that I'm excited about getting to Australia and not playing those songs, but I'm equally as excited to do it again when it's
Yeah.
time.
Well, I feel like you're getting the best of both worlds because you're getting to then continue that celebration, but also have a little mix up in the middle, going to the other
Yeah.
side of the world. So I like that a lot. But something I wanted to come back to that you brought up, I have noticed, and I saw a comment on one of your posts where a fan said they brought their 16-year-old kid to the show for their birthday with the rest of the family. And
Yeah.
it's something I was actually chatting with Peanut from 311 the other day about as well, who will be at Good Things. But like, it's the same with you guys, seeing bands that have been kicking ass for decades and now seeing people that grew up with their music bringing their children and their whole family to the show. Like, it's a true multi-generational experience. Does it blow your mind looking out to the crowds night after night and seeing this legacy tracing through your fans? Like, what is that experience like?
It's amazing. It's, for us, it's like, we've always been super close to our fans. And so I can remember, for us, it's 3 generations a lot of times, because it's kids that came with their parents when we first started touring, or when things first started happening. They went with their parents to their first Warp Tour in 2003 or whatever it was, or they saw us in the UK in 2004. Well, now those kids have kids, and so, now there's 3 generations come into the shows, and that's just always been one of those things for me. I've said this 1,000 times, but, the most rewarding thing about being in Bowling for Soup is we are that band that kids and parents seem to agree on. It's just one of those things. I don't know if it's the beat or the subject matter, or like the fact that we do say shit in a lot of our songs, but like it's so we're cute, so it's like, it's sort of like innocent, I guess. It's like they're adorable. Don't worry about that. You know, I think that my agent says it all the time. He says, "You guys are like the first band that the Warped Tour generation's parents let them buy, that where you said a cuss word on every song." And I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that checks out kind of, but yeah, that's always been cool for me. Having a parent come up to me and going, "Man, I had nothing in common with my child," which you hate hearing. And then they're like, "We heard your band and now we go see shows all the time." And it's something that we agree with what we're listening to in the car, and I just love that. I'm a dad, so that always hits me right in the right spot.
Yeah, it's an awesome meeting point, and I don't wanna make you play favorites, but I liked that you did touch on, like, maybe potentially discovering a couple of new favorites potentially by playing some of these songs that had never been played or hadn't been played for a long time. At
Yeah.
this point, what is a Bowling for Soup song that you absolutely adore playing live? Like, what is one? It can even be a surprise. Like, is there one that took you by surprise on the most recent tour celebrating the 20th anniversary?
So I'll do this in 2 parts. My favorite song to play live, I don't know will ever change. It's "Girl All the Bad Guys Want" because there is something that happens to the audience when that riff starts, and it's a perfect call and repeat chorus, and it's the perfect song to play live that is a hit, and, it'll never get old for me. But I will say that, on this tour, uh Next Ex-Girlfriend off Hangover You Don't Deserve was always kinda one of my least favorite songs. I really just didn't care for it. It just didn't I wrote it, but I just even after it was on the record, I was like, "Ah, I don't know." But playing it live, for the last 3 or 4 months, I it has become one of my favorites, and it's just in my head all the time, and, I've come full circle on Next Ex-Girlfriend for sure.
Yes, a very good choice. I will not just to show that I'm trying to suck up to you, but that is also on my list. So that makes me happy. It's a nice
Thank you.
coincidence. We'll say that. But to finish off today, you are, of course, going to be joined by Taylor Acorn for your headline Sideshows as part of Good Things. But
Yeah.
is there a band on the lineup for Good Things that you're most pumped to see live and or hang out with at the compound? I know there will be some old friends, there may be some new friends. Like, who are you most excited to see live and or hang out with and catch up with while you're here?
Well, I do wanna give a little bit more to that Taylor Acorn thing because I discovered her during the pandemic, and, she had done a cover of Almost, and, her TikTok and reels were just blowing up, and I followed her, and I just thought everything she did was amazing, and so I've only met her once, and that was in Chicago at Riot Fest, and, but we're friendly on the internet or whatever, so I'm so excited to, like, have her and see her doing her show now and all of that because I know things are going really well. I yeah, all of it is the answer. I'm excited to see
Good
old
answer.
friends. I'm excited to see new friends. I'm excited to see people that I only know through other people, and I'm hoping that I haven't been to the Good Things Festival, and I'm hoping it's one of those that sort of lends itself into like being easy for bands to sort of hang out with one another. Because those are my favorite. I miss the days of Warp Tour and the festivals where it's just like there's just your dressing rooms or bus areas are all in the same spot. And you sort of are forced to to be around one another because we will make you party with us. And I think all bands know that.
Well, I think that's a very good note to end on because I think it's something everyone will be looking forward to. There's going to be a lot of good times, a lot of good vibes, and most importantly, we're going to be able to catch Bowling for Soup here. Finally, thank you so much for coming back after over a decade, but it will be worth the wait. We cannot wait to have you here, Jarrett. Thank you for your time.
I'll see you soon.